Alright, so I'm assuming that the Forbidden Grimoire is like stuff that is, you know, it's the enemies of the Imperium, maybe? We're about to find out. That's why reading this for the first time, I have no idea. The Aldari, an ancient and highly advanced alien race that once dominated the galaxy. Aeons ago, the Aldari divided into different factions and split away into distant parts of the galaxy. Even though they are small in number, the Aldari remain a significant force due to their advanced technology, devious minds, and innate psychic abilities. Psychics. Archaeotech, incredibly rare and powerful technology from the ancient age of humanity. Archaeotech is often recovered in frontier regions of the galaxy. While Adeptus Mechanicus is particularly interested in the recovery of such ancient technology and considers all such devices sacred artifacts, some Archaeotech can also be considered forbidden and even heretical. Why? Anytime someone tries to label something as heretical, I immediately want to know more about it. Because, no, that's not how it works. It's one of the things I loved about Silo, watching that show on Apple TV I think this was early this year, was the endless pursuit of knowledge. And when somebody calls something heretical or forbidden, of course I'm going to want it more. Okay, how do I pronounce this? Astronomicon? Astronomicon, perhaps. This psychic beacon that helps navigators triangulate a course for their void ships through the warp. The Emperor himself projects the Astronomicon? How do I pronounce that? Astronomicon? It's probably Astronomicon. Astronomicon? Let's try Astronomicon. From the Golden Throne on Holy Terra, the homeworld of humanity. Over 1,000 psychers. My lips are like. Over 1,000 psychers are sacrificed every standard day to sustain the Emperor's psychic presence in the warp. What the hell? Over 1,000 people are sacrificed every day to sustain the Emperor's psychic presence? That's creepy as fuck. The Asurani, a branch of the Aldari race that inhabits planetoid-sized vessels known as craft worlds. The children of Asurion are defined as a culture by their pursuit of the Suryani path. This philosophy teaches them how to balance their potent minds and strive for constructive goals rather than falling into the immoral pursuit of pleasure and selfishness. So it's a cult? Chaos. What's up? A malign metaphysical force composed of psychic energy that exists in an alternate dimension, the warp. The gods of chaos are monstrous beings weaved from mortal obsessions and fears. These ancient entities of unimaginable power and infinite malice endlessly seek to burst into real space and lay ruin to the real space and its inhabitants. Craft world is a vast planetoid-sized, that's huge, spacecraft populated by the Aldari of the Asuryani faction. These constructs have the resources and power to conquer entire worlds and star systems. These mammoth constructs avoid warp travel, relying on the travel through the mysterious realms of the Webway. Cool, it's going to tell me what the Webway is here in a minute. Matter of fact, let's go read that. Webway is an extra-dimensional space, also known as the Labyrinth Dimension, with links to worlds, sectors, and stars from one end of the galaxy to the other. You guys remember in sounds like the Aztec civilization survives? Does dig that hold? Yeah. Raymond Feist's Riftworld saga. Pug goes into those what do you call it? It's like they go upstairs and there's a long hallway with doorways off of it. And then the game, we're playing Lamplighters League right now, and they mentioned the tower that you can go into that has hallways that connect to all these it's the same concept, an extra-dimensional space. Okay. The Aldari prefer this sophisticated and mysterious method of travel across the stars using special gates to access the network. Yet nowadays, the Webway has become a dark labyrinth of tunnels and portals where a wrong turn or pathway can lead a traveler to the doom. Kind of like the ways in the Wheel of Time. They've fallen to ruin. The Drakari are a sadistic branch of the Eldari race that revels in piracy, violence, and torture, which allows them to feed upon the psychic residue of their victims' suffering. They are the living embodiment of all that is wanton and cruel in the Eldari species. Highly intelligent and devious to the point of obsession, Drakari are forsaken and corrupt Xenos that eternally thirst for the psychic energy of the anguish and torment of other thinking beings in order to save their own souls. That's also extremely creepy. A Psyker is an individual of any intelligent species who possesses some degree of psychic ability or powers. They draw their powers from extra-dimensional realm known as the Warp. As such, Psykers, particularly human ones, are often at risk of possession. Oh ho 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 ho! By demonic entities, insanity, and ultimate corruption by the ruinous powers. So does that mean that if I play a Psyker, it says everyone is at risk of ultimate corruption? But does that mean that it's fated? Like, is it an actual, like, if I am a Psyker, that's the only fate I have in front of me? Am I not allowed to change that fate? Like, why would I use power if I knew that the risk was, ultimate corruption and obliteration at the end of it? Like, that sounds a little... if I was an intelligent person, why would I pursue that path? Unless, in this world, they've talked about how there's this fanatical obsession by the Psykers, and like 1,000 of them die every day to support the God Emperor's psyche in space. Is maybe that just their brainwashing at play, where it's like, well, we're going to die anyway, so we might as well just sacrifice ourselves to the Emperor at the height of our powers for the good of the cause. That sounds kind of crazy if that's the case. Why would I want to play a Psyker? I don't know that I could roleplay that character. The Warp is an alternate dimension of pure energy and madness, existing as a mirror to real space, also known as the Immaterium, the Empyrean, the Ether, the Sea of Souls, or Warp Space. It is the source of all psychic powers and the home dimension of the powerful entities known as the Chaos Gods and their respective demons. The Warp also functions as the medium for faster-than-light interstellar travel with humanity, and is rumored by many species to be the final resting place of the spirits of the dead. So it's like... that sounds like an exceptionally... and I think this is part of the... Isn't this part of the Warhammer, like, ethos, is that it's all based on, like, everything is super, 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 super risky, and like the void space and the demons, and it's like a constant... I don't know enough about Warhammer. I know there's a science fiction version, and I know there's a fantasy version. That's about the limit. And I know a little... I've heard about Space Marines, and I've heard that the void is like this bad place, but that they travel through it. So it sounds like their hyperspace is super fucking dangerous. They also use hyperspace energy to fuel their magics. And it's also the resting place of the dead, and it's where all the Chaos Gods and their demons live. So it's like, wow. Alright. Xenos, a term used within the Imperium to refer to aliens. Xenos threats beyond number surround the Imperium on every side. Most threatening by far are the Xenos species whose territorial empires span star systems and whose borders clash violently with those of the Imperium. Rogue traders and a few other individuals have the authority to make peaceful contact with them for trade, temporary alliance, or even to hire them as mercenaries. But why is everyone else prohibited? Why are only certain people given the right to do stuff with them? And I lost my pen as I was sitting here. So I have more questions than answers now by the end of this. There's my pen. I dropped it. So that's the Forbidden Grimoire section.